Howdy folks, and welcome back again on what will be another week for you, but the same wet, windy, blustery morning for me. And the next part of Red Riding Hood, the Nuts Planet 75mm resin figure. Now, last time we started with some washing on the flesh, put the red shade onto the cloak, put the Nuln Oil shade onto some of the metal work, and today, or in this section, I will be dry brushing the cloak, and we'll see where we go from there. So let's get started. Move the box out of the way, somewhere visible. I'm not copying the exact colours off the box, but it's nice to have it sat there with the artwork so we can see what it's kind of supposed to look like. And here we are with the cloak, and I will try and get us roughly centralised, somewhere around there, and I'll zoom us in a little more because we might need to see this a little bit closer. There we go. Now we have, which I will keep just out of shot because otherwise it will white everything out, piece of folded up kitchen roll for dabbing the brush out on. And for our first stage of dry brushed highlights, we're going to go with the same colour that we used for the base coat. So give that a quick shake. And if I feel the need to add more highlights, which I might do in a few areas of the cloak, rather than lighten the red down, I will either use a brighter red or I will use an orange. So if you try lightening red, you end up with pink. So I'll bring this in just a little so we can see what I'm doing. I'm getting a little bit of paint on the brush, which is a relatively nadgered old, I say flat brush, it's at an angle, but you know, same difference. So we scrub most of the paint out, and the trick is going to be to do this in shot. And we just drag the brush gently across all the raised details, and hopefully the red will pick up on them. Might take a couple of goes over to get it to look how we want, but it's not a problem. We're going to, obviously, certain areas are going to be more highlighted than others, so we will maybe go back and brighten those up if there's a bit too much paint on the brush. The ease at which is picking up all the detail. And this is the case, so if I had the red Citadel dry brush, dry brush paint as it were, this would be a lot easier due to the thickness of the paint. This being an airbrush ready paint, it's a lot thinner and tends to stay in the brush and come out a lot faster than you'd necessarily want it to, but hey ho, we'll get there. And as I say, this is basically just a case of rinse and repeat over the entire cloak. So we are just picking out all the surface detail, the top ridges, leaving all our shadow and shade work in the shadows and in the shades. So we're adding, just more depth really. I say none of the techniques I'll use are tricky, difficult. You won't find me necessarily doing wet blending or loaded brush technique or anything like that. That's way beyond my skill set. It is just washing, dry brushing, washing, dry brushing and detail painting. And eventually it'll end up with something that looks passable from a distance. Never be a golden demon or a crystal sword winner, but hey, not something many of us can do. But you know, if you've had the itch to maybe try a figure, and you've watched a couple of videos where people are using the more advanced techniques, that could possibly put you off. So I'll keep it simple. As you can see, there's nothing particularly tricky I'm doing here. There's no real precision involved. So a lot of the techniques do carry over from the various different disciplines, as it were. So where you might dry brush a cockpit, just pick out the raised detail. That's all I'm doing here. Just different colours. Well, unless something's got a red cockpit. I can't think of any planes offhand that have red cockpits, other than maybe ones where the pilot's been hit by something and it got a bit sprayed, but you know. As this is basically animal fur, we don't need, or we don't want it all to look exactly the same. So a few brighter spots, a few darker spots. And just looking at it, I think I will probably come back with a very slight orange highlight as well. Dry brush to just pick up the extra detail, make it pop that little bit more. And as the name suggests, dry brushing, it does mean the paint dries very fast, so you can handle it almost instantly. He's checking that he's still in shot and wondering whether, although the light level is pretty much perfect for my eyes, wondering whether a little extra light might not hurt. So that'll do us for now. I'll bring that up closer so you can see it in more detail when the camera focuses. But we have the variations in the red, the purple, and it's all looking pretty groovy. On the inside, I'm probably going to leave it like that. I might give it a dry brush with red around the edges, just to pick out the fur where it is there, but other than that, that's pretty much going to be left as is. So we can pop that to one side now. Remember to close up the red and clean out the brush. You definitely notice it when you've been painting things like red, if you've got, as this is a nylon bristle brush, because the bristles go pink. So what can we do next? Actually, we'll put some extra light on. Ooh, reach across. Ooh, how's that? That gonna help? That'll help a little. So bring her up, and where we were on the boots last time. Now I'm actually pretty happy with how the brown turned out, so I'm not going to go over and rewash them again with the flesh wash. Instead we're going to go with a different colour brown for the various straps, and yeah, let's go for a lighter colour, or just a different. Let's go different. Let's go with pardon me, another Citadel paint. This time a base, so it's a base colour. It's the Mornfang Brown, which is, it's quite a nice rich brown, but it's a thicker paint, obviously designed as a base colour. And as you'll find, sometimes if you're using really thin paints, they can start to act like a wash and run, and well, not run, get the old capillary action going. They will follow edges and seams and stuff, so we want it a bit thicker so we have more control over exactly where it goes. And again, I'll just pick these out. Again, I'll say this is just a relatively cheap 5.0 brush. It's not a Winsor & Newton or anything. It's just a, I think I actually got it from Hannant's, one of their, whatever their own brand brushes is. So it's a couple of years old now. Well, it's done well. It's certainly paid for itself. So it's at this point in the painting where you do have to start getting careful. You don't want to be painting over the edges. So this is where colouring books as a kiddie came in useful, learning to draw up to colouring up to the lines, not over them. And yeah, I am in shot, yes. So just taking your time, being careful. Kind of fortunately it's quite chilly and damp today, so we aren't having any issues with the paint drying before I actually get it onto the model, which can happen on a hot day. When you're trying to paint tiny details, you can find that the paint actually dries on the brush between the pot and the model, which is a bit of a pain in the butt, but hey, it's not as bad as it was last summer when we had a few days where it was in the mid-30s or over, well, around about 100 degrees American, and I actually found the paint was drying inside the airbrush cup. Trying to spray it, and it was just clagging up all the time because it was drying inside the cup. Persevered, got it done. Forget what it was I was, yeah, I can't remember what it was I was painting. Probably a tank or a plane. So we just work around these, making sure to get the bits inside the buckles. As I say, I would normally be a little quicker, but because A, I'm trying to keep her in shot, and B, I'm trying to talk to the camera, as it were, or talk to whoever's listening or watching. I've kind of got my mind in different places, so I have to take this a bit steadier. Right, so that'll do for those. While we're at, we'll go around the top of the bindings on the sword scabbard. just to make those a slightly different colour from the rest of the scabbard. Making sure to do the edges as well, so it's not just black, or in this case black with silver splashes. So the other thing with figures is there's always more than one side to whatever it is you're painting. Because everything's in 3D. I mean, you can find there's sort of 6 or 7 different sides to paint of the same thing. So we'll just do the rest of the sword hilt as well. We might as well do it the same colour. For this, this sword hilt I probably should and could easily be using a larger brush, but as I have this one in hand, it's the one I'm going to use. Again, not picking up too much paint on the brush at any one time. Now the fun bit in between the fingers. Check here. I have to keep looking up and checking that I am in shot. Normally I film a little further out so that I just know if I'm on the cutting mat I'm in shot. But with this, as it's so small, I'm zoomed in further, and therefore it's very easy to go out of shot. And if I do that, I apologise, but there's not a lot I can do to help with that, I'm afraid. Now, do we pick out those stitches? Yeah, while we're at it, let's pick out the stitching as well. So apologies if you can hear the rain hammering against the window. I'm hoping the camera's not that sensitive, but you never know. As I've found in the past, some things that don't sound very loud to me show up really well on the microphone. The camera just picks them up straight away. And other things that I think are going to be absolutely deafening, you guys barely hear. Or when I watch them back I can hardly hear them. Guess it's all down to the frequency response of the microphone, whichever one it is that's built into the camera. So I'll do. So I'll bring her up close again so we can see what we've done. We have the stitching on the side of the thigh guard, I guess, and the straps around the lower boots done, and the back of the scabbard and the sword hilt or handle. Now where to next? Oh, scratch head. Right. Well, I'm not entirely sure where we go next. I think maybe we had a little more wash of the shadows in the face and the neck. This time we'll go neat with the flesh shade. And we'll shut them on Fang Brown first so that doesn't dry out. Clean off the cocktail stick. And break out the Reichland flesh shade again. So this is just the exact same wash we were using before, just not thinned down this time. just to get a little right in the shadows around the eyes. So we actually get some on the brush sharp. And down the side and under the nose. And then under the chin, just to darken that area a little, as it's going to be in shade. And then a little on the very centre of the neck and down that little edge. And why not, let's have a little more darkness in the cleavage. And a tiny pinprick in the belly button. There we go. I think next what will we do? Oh, it's one of those things where I may not film everything, but everything will be done in the same methods. I'm thinking a brown wash over those straps on the leg, on the boots, and then maybe start picking out some of the metal work. And she could probably use a little tiny bit of shade up under her rib cage, so I shall just drop a tiny bit of the wash into the palette over here, just out of shot. It's just the same wash, same brush, just a little bit of water to not thin it, dilute it slightly, just so we can then come in and add a slight shade under the rib cage. That's a little too much. But we can soon move it out, move it about before it dries. Yeah. So now we can, having cleaned off the brush in my usual way, which is stick it in my mouth and suck it. Don't do that, people. It's a bad habit to get into. Because we didn't let the wash dry, we can then remove some of it. So I think we'll paint her lips next. Should we give her bright cherry red lips, or should we go, oh yeah, we got to go red lipped, haven't we, really? Or do we? Do we have a, ooh, that'll work. Give this a quick shake. It's the Vallejo Game Air Terracotta Red. Came with the Flesh and Skin paint set. That's way plenty paint, as we're just going to be painting her little lippies. And this is normally where I would be holding her right up to my face. So apologies if I get my big head in the shot. Yeah, this is going to be tricky. I'm probably going to take a couple of coats as well. So I try to keep talking as I'm doing this, but tiny bits like that I do have to concentrate on. So let's see if we can... Oh, well, the camera's picking up her face as a face, so that's a result. And it's auto-focusing on that, so we can see the face, the lips done, and again with the strapping on the boots and the stitching, and the little extra shadows that we've put in the face, and then, excuse me, face and the neck area just to make it stand out a bit more. I think next time I may well be doing dry brushing the face, just to pick out the highlights and the edges on that, maybe a little on the body and legs and top of the bust, and then it'll be eyes, which is the scary bit. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, give us a thumbs up, click like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Share, feel free to share the videos about, let everyone know what I'm doing, going on. Some people might be interested, others might not. Others might find me too long-winded and rambling and would want this done in 10 minutes, but hey, it's the way I do it. So have fun, enjoy your modelling, peace out, rock on, and bye bye.